You know, one of the things that I went through as I've been working on scaling the organization was a business thing that people want you to do is a thing called an organizational chart. Instead of doing an organizational chart, we actually flipped it upside down, and I put myself at the bottom of the organizational chart and everyone else above me. And whenever I did that, it looked like a tree. My buddy, Joe Meller, he said, you know, they already have those. They're called family trees. Our organizational chart at our company is a family tree. I believe that Rush Automotive is an extension of my family.
How has your view of family been shaped by your past?
Yeah. So, you know, growing up, family was such a big deal to me. There was a disruption in my family.
It's a little bit of a shock.
Joking with me? Like, is this a joke?
I got a call from Child Protective Services. It was a pretty tough time for me. I didn't respond well to it.
Wanting to find somebody special, and he deserves that, and I knew that.
We all have family that we choose to be family with. I grew up in northeastern Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas. My mom was a teenage mom in a time that wasn't real typical. I was raised by my grandparents quite a bit until they passed away. Then I lived with my mom full time. In my childhood, big family gatherings, lots of community. Later in the teenage years, that kind of dissolved a little bit. And it was something I always sought to have again, you know, that big family. I always sought to have that close connection again.
What happened in your teenage years to change things?
There was a disruption in my family. Around the time I was around 15 years old, my mom and dad got a divorce, and it was a pretty tough time for me. I didn't respond well to it. I went to 13 schools in 11 years, and it got to a place where graduating high school in a conventional or normal way wasn't really going to be an option for me based on all of the moves that I had. I ended up returning back to the Austin area around 17, and I had my GED. I needed to get a job. My dad, Randy Rogers, worked at a dealership in Austin, and they needed a lot porter. I was excited to have a job making $4.15 an hour to move cars. And that's how I got in the car business. With the disruption in my family, it was something that family was something that was always important to me, and I wanted to have a family of my own. I got married at 18 in August of '97. We had Alexis in July of '98. Unfortunately, being young, not being prepared to be married and have children, my ex-wife and I got a divorce in February of '99. My brother-in-law, Jason, was worried about me, and he was like, man, I'll tell you what, you need to date somebody or else I'm gonna keep bothering you about it.
Yeah, I think that's just a natural thing we want for the people around us and our friends. We want them to have what we have, knowing some of the struggles he's had and in relationship issues that maybe he's had in his life, you know, wanting to find somebody special, and he deserves that, and I knew that.
And he was like, go on Yahoo Personals and make a personals, you know, ad, and I'll leave you alone. I got a response from Ashley.
I'm Ashley Rush, and I am Joe's wife. We've been married for just on 23 years now.
Within the first couple of hours of just being together, you know, I knew that she was the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. We had Lex and Sydney, and then we had Kylie there in 2003, Katie in 2005. I wanted a son. When we found out that we were having our fourth daughter, I pushed the door open and I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
When I was growing up, I liked to tell my sisters that I was the one that was wanted.
We've always had family or friends in and out of our house and homes, and that's just been a theme that's been a big deal to me of like, we care for our family and our community because you love them.
I think that being a dad, being a father, being a husband, those are all leadership roles. The whole idea of owning my own company someday started at 17 years old on a Ballard at the Ford dealership. I thought, someday I'd like to own this place. Growing up with my grandpa and my great uncles, they all tinkered on their own vehicles, did work on their own cars, so I was always around it. But what really became the big movement to me was just being in a relationship with people. The only way I was going to be able to create the environment where people were important, where they actually really truthfully mattered, they weren't just a cog in a wheel that went around, was for me to be the person who made all of the decisions. And so I walked in the house and I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm gonna start my own company. And my wife looks at me and she says, what took so long? It was mid-2008 and I was about 29 years old. Enlisted a couple of my friends.
My name is Micah Lilly. I am one of the founders of the company as well, so I've been here since day one. When it came time, it was like, hey, you said you'd do it. Are you serious? Are you ready to, are you ready to quit your job and not know if when your next paycheck's gonna hit? Like, are you really prepared for this?
We rolled the gate open the first day on September 12th, 2011. And then we sat there for the entire rest of the day with nothing to do. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I went outside to Micah and I said, hey man, we can't do this.
He said, you guys hold down the fort. I'm gonna go see what I can do. I'm gonna go talk to people.
I just went out and beat the streets, and that's the way it all started.
He took off with it, and we haven't looked back since.
Pretty much the whole time, it's been word of mouth growth. It's been very organic.
We kept growing and gaining momentum. In year 2, we were actually a top 1% store according to Venn Waterhouse Group. Now we've grown to 6 locations and nearly 60 employees. We get to serve so many wonderful people in our community.
The customer base that we've got, I feel, has been very strong. Our employees are very close-knit. We're all almost, as family as you can get without the blood being there, And I think that's been a big part of our growth, too, is that just natural friendship, loving, caring kind of relationships that you build.
My dream was to love and serve and care for people, and I can do that in any capacity. Cars are what allow me to do that. I truthfully believe that we're all looking to be connected, and that there's no better place to be connected than family. And so with our company, you get a family.
He has mentored me financially with his help and with his guidance. We were able to buy our first home. We're putting our oldest kid through college right now.
It's just caring about people. He'd give a shirt off his back. Love, serve, and care, basically. Same thing as on his signs.
I've worked here for 11 years. I've started a family since I've been working here. I bought my first house since I've been working here. When I got married, actually, Joe was my best man.
I just recently got engaged. He's gonna actually officiate our wedding, so we have a really close bond like that kind of closeness.
Every time I have some kind of situation that comes up where I feel like I need some guidance on or some help or something, I call him immediately.
Rush Automotive is part of who I am. There's nothing not personal about it. It's authentically me. I got a call from Child Protective Services. They had asked me if I knew this young lady that had worked for me in the past, and I said yes. I was like, is she okay? Yeah, she is okay. However, her children are gonna need a place to stay. She doesn't have anyone who can take them, and if the state takes them, then they will be separated. She put your name down as the only person she knew who might be able to take them.
And at first I was like, is he joking with me? Like, is this a joke? Like, are you serious? Is this real? And he was like, yeah, no, I was like, okay.
It's a little bit of a shock, but yeah, it's like, this is what they need. And so who am I to say no?
Even though she had been almost 18 months removed from the company, she knew that we would always be family. When she needed somebody to protect the kiddos, she remembered who her family was. They came to us and they immediately acclimated in our family. They blended in 100%. In fact, within the first 5 days when people would come over and spend time with us, they were like, it's like these kids have been here forever. And we thought that this was going to be a temporary thing, that it would be a 30 to 60 day thing. Unfortunately, the struggles continued for their biological mom. There was just no question that we were going to fully adopt them, never a question. We were able to finalize the adoption January 28th of 2026. And so now we have 9 children, spanning between 2 years old and 28 years old. Your family is the people that you love, that you choose to love. A 100 years from now, no one's going to talk about the alternator that we installed yesterday. But 100 years from now, I truly believe people will write books about the things that we did. Everybody is worthy of being loved, everyone. I learned that from my grandmother and my mother. My dad, Randy Rogers, taught me the statement, blood is thicker than water, is true, but love is thicker than blood. And you get to choose who your family is.